Today we are going to discuss symbolism within William Shakespeare's tragedy, Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. Before we begin, let's take a minute to discuss a very brief overview of the play. After the previous king, named Hamlet, is killed, a ghost who appears to be this dead king visits the castle he used to live in. His son, also named Hamlet, sees the specter and is instructed by it to exact revenge on the dead king's brother Claudius, who supposedly murdered the king and now has the throne. This encounter sets the stage for every terrible action that is to follow. As Hamlet begins to go mad and fret about the suggestion of revenge, many of the other characters begin to fight and go apparently mad alongside him. In the end, every one of these treacherous and malicious main characters, including Hamlet himself, are dead, all except for the honest and kind Horatio, friend of Hamlet, who lives on to the tale of the tale. Now that we've refreshed our memory of the main plot of the line of the play, let's begin to discuss our lesson. Today, we will talk about three of the most important and prevalent instances of symbolism within Hamlet, what they mean within the play, and what symbolism itself means. What is symbolism? Symbolism is defined as the use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities. Furthermore, it is described as an artistic poetic movement or style using symbolic images and indirect suggestion to express mystical ideas, emotions, and states of mind. The practice of representing things by symbols, or investing things with a symbolic meaning or character, has been used by authors and playwrights for centuries. Through Hamlet, we will receive a wealth of this type of figurative language, and today we will talk about the three of the most predominant and important instances of symbolism within Hamlet: poison, Yorick the Jester's skull, and finally Ophelia's flowers. Poison is the ideal weapon of choice within Hamlet. It is used throughout the play to harm and kill nearly every one of the main characters. Even from the very beginning of the play, poison is present, as in Act 1, Scene 5. Hamlet follows the ghost, who is supposedly his father, upon King Hamlet, and learns the entire story of how Claudius killed him. King Hamlet says, "Upon my secure hour thy uncle stole, with the juice of cursed Hibbenbon in a vial, and in the porches of my ear did pour." From this we are to understand that the king's brother, Claudius, killed the king by pouring the poison into his ear as he slept. Poison is so often, as in this case, a symbol for betrayal, secrecy, and greed. It is used frequently throughout the play as a tool for murder and revenge, all in the hope that one person can triumph, primarily in secrecy, or one over another. The main characters within the play are all eventually defeated by poison, suggesting perhaps that they are each killed by their own concealed sinfulness and greed, or killed by a taste of their own medicine, as in the case of Claudius. As for Hamlet, he is poisoned by his quest for truth and revenge. He alters his behavior to investigate without restraint and thereby alienates those he cares about. Many of the other characters are also poisoned by their own desires: Ophelia by her brother Laertes and father Polynous' direction, Laertes by his revenge, Polynous and Claudius by greed, and Gertrude by her betrayal to Hamlet's father. Furthermore, Claudius, in a final attempt to kill Hamlet at the end of the play, poisons a congratulatory goblet and the sword of Laertes, who is fighting Hamlet in a fencing match. This is what finally kills off all the hostile and malicious characters remaining at the end of the play, as they are all each poisoned in turn, finally wiping Denmark clean by leaving only the honest Horatio alive. It is the use of poison that begins the story, and it is inevitably the use of poison that ends the story. Poison, then, as the hairbringer of death, relates to the theme of death in the story, connecting to the other important symbols within the play. Now, let's review some examples of poison symbolism used in the text. Who this had seen, with tongue and venom steeped with fortune state, would treason have pronounced? Here, thou incestuous murderous damned Dane, drink off this potion, is thy union here, follow my mother. In Hamlet, physical objects are rarely used to represent thematic ideas. One important exception is Yorick's skull, which Hamlet discovers in the graveyard in the first scene of Act 5. As Hamlet speaks to the skull and about the skull of the king's former jester, he fixates on death's inevitability and disintegration of the body. He urges the skull to get you to my lady's chamber and tell her let her paint an inch thick, to this favor she must come. He basically says no one can avoid death. He traces the skull's mouth and says, "Here hung those lips that I have kissed I know not how oft," indicating his fascination with the physical consequences of death. This latter idea is an important motif throughout the play, as Hamlet frequently makes comments referring to every human's body eventual decay, noting that Polynolus will be eaten by worms, that even kings are eaten by worms, no different than any peasant, and that dust from amazing people such as Alexander the Great might be used to stop a hole in a barrel. With the meeting of Yorick's skull, Hamlet finally looks death directly in the face. After all the talk of revenge and murder, the skull connects Hamlet to the theme, consequences, and equalizing nature of death, more so than any other symbol throughout the play, even the ghost of his father. Hamlet's constant brooding about death and humanity comes to a grotesque head in the infamous graveyard scene where Hamlet holds up the unearthed skull of Yorick, a court jester Hamlet knew and loved as a young boy. Ophelia's flowers. When Ophelia loses her mind in Act 4, Scene 5, she starts handing out flowers to everyone around her. Although she does not directly explain the symbolic meaning of these flowers, what is most important is who she hands these flowers to. During the scene, Ophelia has gone mad because her father Polonius is dead. She enters the scene carrying many different types of flowers. However, some editors believe that the flowers were just imaginary, and begins to give different flowers to other main characters from the play. Each of the flowers represents something, and there is a reason why Ophelia gives certain flowers to certain people. First, she gives the rosemary to Laertes, which is a symbol of remembrance. She also gives pansies to Laertes, as they represent a symbol of thoughts, particularly thoughts of love. Although she gives both to Laertes, Ophelia most likely has Hamlet in her mind when she says, "There's rosemary, that's remembrance. Pray for you, love, remember that there's pansies, that's for thoughts." She then gives fennel and columbines to King Claudius. Fennel represents flattery, and columbines resent having no faith in marriage. They are both given to Claudius because of his incestuous marriage and betrayal. Next, Ophelia gives daisies to both King Claudius and Queen Gertrude, which represent deceit and lies, because they both lied to the public and betrayed King Hamlet. Finally, violets are a symbol of faith, and many people believe Ophelia gives these flowers to Horatio because at this point he is the only one that she still has faith in. Also, Ophelia does not realize it. However, Horatio is the only person that Hamlet still trusts and has faith in as well. To conclude, each of these symbols plays an important and central role in Hamlet. The development of the characters and the plot rely on these symbols to enhance the reader's understanding of central themes, primarily death and rebirth in this case, to relay the author's ideas and voice for their work. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and special thanks to the website members whose knowledge advanced this video.